Got a 3D printer project coming up here, and I'm going to be using the Longer 3D printer over here I've got in the corner to make one of a case similar to this for a big Tritech SKR Mini V3 and the V335, I think it is, touchscreen, because I'm going to use it to replace a motherboard and controller on one of these Creality printers. So why not use a Longer printer to make parts for a Creality printer? Hey, we're going to talk about this coming up. I'm Roger, welcome to the loft above the shop, and I'm going to be building a case for an SKR Mini E3, and I'm going to do a very detailed swap. I did this once before when I upgraded this printer right here, and I just kind of did a fast forward speed video through the actual installation of it, and I've had a lot of comments. People would like to see it in detail. I have one of these other ones over here I want to upgrade. It's got the 4.2.2 motherboard in it, and I've been having some issues with it, so I'm just going to swap it out. And I really like this touchscreen, but the case I'm going to make for this one is a little bit different. It was downloaded from Thingiverse. You can find all kinds of things for your 3D printer on Thingiverse. This one here just stands alone, so I got to move it when I move the printer, which is rare. But the one I'm building using the Longer 3D printer will actually clip onto the extrusions here and be mounted, and it'll be on a ball, and I'll be able to tilt the display back and forth. It'll be a lot slimmer case, because as you can see, this one here is kind of thick. It works fine, no problems there, but just something a little bit different. So first thing I need to do over here is I need to change the filament, because right now it's got white filament in it, and I don't want to make the case out of white filament. Pick some other color. And I need to get all my files sliced in Cura, and for that we're going to go to the computer. So as you can see here, there's quite a few parts to putting this case together for this big Tritech display, and I'm going to be able to do quite a few of these all in one print. Take we'll do all the standoffs, and we'll see how those line up in Cura. But first I need to get Cura opened up. Okay, I already have it set up for the Longer LK5 Pro. So the first thing I need to do is bring some of this stuff in. So we'll get to the file here. I need to pull this out a little bit so I can read the file sizes. We're going to start off with the standoffs. Yeah, I think we probably ought to separate these a little bit. Okay, we need two of the bottom ones. All right. Grab him, pull him over here. Okay, we don't need any support on this. I'm gonna leave a little adhesion here. Check what my temperatures are, 60 degree build plate temperature, 200 degrees C. Okay, we're good there. And for infill, since we're going to be actually putting screws through this, I am going to go with about 90% infill. And I'm going to take the resolution down a little bit. I'll slice that. 44 minutes to print that. I need to put that on a card. Well, we'll start out with that one. Now let's make a new one here. Some of these files all put together. Yes, I could have saved that. Now we'll start with the twisted standoff here. Then we go back to leaving it like it was, the way it was shown there. And we'll just have to add supports to it. I'm going to leave my resolution here. I think I'll take my infill up to 30%. Well, that one's going to take a little while to print. We'll save that. Back. I think we can definitely lay that flat. There we go, and I'm going to leave my same settings here. I may take that to 40% infill, make it a little stronger since there's threads on it. And we'll get to the next part. This should be the front. Lay him down on his face because this is like making a box. And I'll leave all my settings up here the same. We don't need any supports here. Move on to the next part. Need the ball. That's going to have supports. And because there's going to be some stress on that, we're going to take the infill up to 80%. As you can see, there's quite a few parts to this. Yeah, we don't need support there. I'll take the infill down to 60. Lock nut. Okay, I know this has threads. Up the infill on that. Don't need any support. Reset button. Oh. Not a whole lot to that. Obviously don't need support on that. It's going to take a whopping 7 minutes. And the last one here is this T-slot standoff. And we'll leave that there. Okay, we got all the parts lined out. I can eject this, just got to get the printer ready. Okay, so what's my choice of filament for this project? I'm going to try something new. This is called 3D Fuel Pro PLA. Guess that's for us professionals. High impact strength, easy to print, high temperature resistance, consistent low odor. Island fuchsia's a color, made in USA. And it gives you some different types of settings you can use for all this and that. But what I need to do first is get this loaded on this printer. Yeah, I've got this thing powered up, and I really like this touchscreen on here. So we're going to be changing the filament out on this, and yes, I know the bed's dirty. I'll get to cleaning that here before we get to printing. It's from a previous project. So a touch on filament, we want to unload. So there's a choice right there. You just touch on unload. And this will show you the temperature. We need to get this to come up to temperature before I can pull that filament out of there. And it usually doesn't take too long. Okay, so as you can see, we're just about up to temperature at 199 degrees. So I can just, of course I'm going to be right in front of the camera doing this. That's the problem with being in a tight space. I just squeeze this deal on the extruder and I can pull the old filament out, like so. Take that off the stand. And something if you're new to 3D printing, and when you change filament spools, don't just let the end fly, because you can get a cross wrap in there. And if you do get a cross wrap, it's going to make your life miserable when you start trying to use that spool again, because it'll ruin your print. So always get it latched over so it's not getting wild and wrapping over itself. So now we need to load. So there's a couple things I do. Here I'm going to take the end of the filament, and don't let go of it because you could get a cross wrap. Always take a pair of cutters, and I cut this off at an angle. First you got to get the cutter on there. cut this off at an angle, and we're right down the damn drain. I'm going to dig that out. So we want to get this filament loaded. You want it coming off over the top, not off the bottom. Just set that on the spool there. Well, and try not to let that happen. And I'll start pushing it through the little guide tube here on the filament guide. And I'm going to have to get right in front of the camera again so I can look in there to be able to get that where it needs to be. Okay, once you've got the filament into the guide tube, and I usually push it down quite a ways through the Bowden tube here, so I'm not waiting for this thing to self-feed all the way. You can just click on load. And it will start turning, and I wait until I see filament coming out of the extruder. And it's starting right now. I'll wait till it turns purple because it's still white. And there it's turning purple, so you just click OK to stop. You know, next I need to do a little bit of bed cleaning here, and then we're going to double check the level of the bed. Okay, so next I'm going to go to bed leveling. So I'm going to take this back to home. Well, down here it says leveling. And all you need to do is push these buttons, or these, well, they're not buttons, but they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll touch number 1, and this should move to position 1. As you can see, the bed's clean now. And you'll need some leveling paper, official leveling paper. What is that? It's a piece of copy paper. Just plain old copy paper, that's all you need. So I'll need to stick this paper in there once it gets into its position. And this should just slip with just a little bit of resistance. And right now that is too tight. And now we will go to position 2. Now you may need to do this repeatedly if yours is off by quite a bit. I have not used this printer here in about a week. That was just a little tight. Pretty good there. Position 3. Just a little tight there. Position 4. That one's good right where it is. Go to 5, which is in the middle. And if this one is off, then you're going to have to go back around because you can't adjust the center by itself. And that's actually, now it's close. We'll go back to position 1 here again. That one's just a little tight. Go to 2. Good there. Go to 3. Good there. Go to 4. Good there. And back to the center. And we're good there. So we'll take this back home. And I'm going to go here to filament. We're going to preheat. We're going to use PLA. I'll have to wait for the bed to heat up. While I'm doing that, I'll put the micro SD card in. Okay, this card right here has all the files for this case in it. We'll take out the one that was in there. Plug that one in. All right, something I'm going to do while it's heating up, and it is warming up there. Hit move, and I'm going to take this home. And I can also take the Z-axis home by pushing the little home button on between the blue arrows there. So we're all home, ready to go here once things get heated up. And while you're doing a warm-up, if you want to check on the progress, because maybe you've been doing something else, like I just homed everything, just push on filament again here, and it'll take you back and it'll show you the temperature where you're at. So we're at 259 we're 200 on the PLA, 59 on the bed. So we're close enough there to go. So we'll take this back home. We're going to go to File, and I think we'll start with the reset button because that was a real quick print. So just touch that. Down here you have to tell it to open. Start printing. Yes. And you can watch the elapsed time and everything right there on the touch screen. Of course, it doesn't happen instantly. It doesn't just like take off and starts printing. It's got to read the G code. It's got to analyze it and decide what it wants to do. And if you are new to this, it always lays down a strip first before it goes over to the work area. As you look at the touch screen right there, you'll be able to monitor the progress of it. Both your extruder temperature and your bed temperature, elapsed time, and the progress. We're at 20% right now. This is just a reset button, so this one here is going to be a quick print. I want to start out with something real quick on this. Okay, and there's our part. And why is that so big? That is because when you are printing something very tiny, like that reset button, or like I'm going to be doing with the standoffs, you want to make sure you have good bed adhesion, because that can very, very easily shift. That's why we have the big stuff around the outside. And when your print is finished, it'll say finish. Total time, 25 minutes. You click OK and go back and get set up for the next part. Okay, to get this off, I just pick it up. And you'll see what my part is right here in the, my part here is right here in the very center, and I can just break off all the stuff off the outside, and that little tiny part in there is my reset button. Now I'll get this set for the next part. Clean this filament off of here, and we're all good there. Go back over to the touchpad and filament, PLA, we need to get that warmed up again. There'll be a little red check mark when it gets ready to go, and you can watch the temperatures come up. Okay, we're about up to temperature here. Now I'll go home, and we want to go to File, and I wish I could read all of that. Now we'll do the T-slot standoff because I can read that one. I don't think that one's going to take too long. Oh, that is a large one though. Hopefully this is the standoffs. One thing you should remember, and I know better, when you are saving your files in Cura, if you have a lot of them, shorten them up so that you can read what you're doing in the first few words of the file. And it's laying down its little adhesion raft. Like I said, when you have these small parts, it's hard to make them stick unless you're using adhesion. You get into the bigger parts, you don't necessarily have to use it. So while I got the camera right over here by the longer printer, I thought I could, a little comparison between it and the Ender 3 V2, which is right here. As you can see, the build plate on this is much smaller than it is in the Longer, and there's not near as much you can do with the height. I really like the design of the Longer. I've had no issues with it, and like I said, I love that touch screen. Again, right here is the Big Tree Tech modification I made to this one. This was my lemon printer that from the day one when I got this, everything was just absolutely wrong with it. Went through motherboards and power supplies, and finally just did a complete swap, put the Big Tree Tech in. I like that. And I have another printer here that's now starting to act up, so I'm going to be modifying that one, hence making the case over here with the Longer. Couldn't think of anything more appropriate. So I'm going to let this sit over here in the corner and do its thing. It is doing a standoff right now. That's not that long of a print, but you don't need to sit and watch a printer print for an hour or whatever. There'll be more to come on this project, and I'll be using this printer to build everything for this case, and I'll give you updates here as we go, plus a couple other fun projects you can do on one of these. There's a link in the description on where you can get one of these if you like it. Do I like it better than the Creality printer? Yes, I do. Of course, I have 4 Ender 3 V2s over here that I use quite a bit to make parts that we sell and different things, and yeah, they work, but this is so much better. It's just a world of difference. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. I'm Roger in the loft above the shop on a rainy, humid July day. Staying cool. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.